Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I am Alice and in today's video I want to share with you 30 items that I will not buy in 2022. Now before starting I want to make clear that minimalism is different for every single person. So if there is anything on this list that you actually like and you plan to buy in 2022, there is absolutely no problem with that. You do you. These are things that have no value for me, but that doesn't mean that they have no value in absolute. There are always exceptions in life. So without further ado, let's get into it. I have here my bullet journal as always because I'm honestly not even bothered to pretend that I can remember all 30 of them, especially in the right order, and I prefer being real rather than having a screen hidden somewhere showing me the list. So let's get into it. The number one is liquid soap. It is very expensive and generally comes in plastic, while a normal bar of soap is cheaper, less wasteful, and it lasts longer. So it's really a win-win on every front. In general though, I'm also not buying any specialized cleaner anymore. I learned that you really don't need that many cleaners. Everything I need is dish soap, laundry detergent, a multi-purpose cleaner, and maybe a toilet cleaner. That's it. I'm also not really buying any room perfume. I just don't like the smell. That's it. I don't like it, so it's something that I don't see the purpose for me. And on a similar note, I'm also not really buying any clothes perfume or clothes freshener. You know those spray that you're supposed to spray on your clothes to make them smell nicer, and I'm honestly shocked that they are advertised even as a sustainable item because it's something that you really don't need. I do agree that you should wash your clothes less because you are going to ruin your clothes on the long run, and it's also very wasteful and very expensive and all these things. But you just have to put your clothes in front of an open window. That's all you need. The next thing I will not buy anymore is seasonal decor. Now, as you can see from behind me, I am not opposed to decor. I actually like it. But I'm not bothered to change my decor every single season. I do not have the space to store it. And I will be honest, it is also partially cultural. In Italy, seasonal decor is really not a thing. We have maybe Christmas decor, and some houses also have some Easter decor, but really no more than that. So it's not something that I've ever been exposed to. So it's just not something for me. That's it. Similarly, I'm also not going to buy fresh flowers anymore. I honestly love fresh flowers, but they die and it makes me so sad every single time. And on top of that, they are also very expensive, and if you want to have fresh flowers every single time, you have to buy them quite regularly. So that's just not for me. What I did instead was buying that lovely bouquet over there. These are real flowers, but they are dried, so they last a very, very long time. And by the way, they still have a very nice perfume, if that's something you like in flowers. So I was very, very happy with those, and I bought them from a girl where I live who does amazing bouquets, so I will link her details down below. But anyway, there are really tons of people in Etsy or in local markets that make their own dry flower arrangements, and they are fantastic. So it's definitely something I recommend instead of fresh flowers. Now, stopping grumbling about flowers so long, the next thing I won't buy anymore in this category is organizers. I have already talked about this, but I realized that I can simply upcycle or repurpose random containers that I have around the house instead of having to buy something specific. My next category is office, and here the first thing I'm not going to buy is a calendar. I have an agenda and I have a bullet journal. This is all I need. For the exact same reason, I'm also not going to buy any notebooks anymore, and when it comes to maybe more like quick notes, I just use like the back of prong printings, and in this way I try to make the most out of that paper instead of buying something extra. And for anything more fancy or more important, I have my bullet journal. I am also not going to buy any pen holder. This is very difficult for me because I love pen holders. I find them so cute and I'm always tempted by them. But in my experience, old mugs that you can't use as mugs anymore, but they are still lovely and they maybe are sentimental, they make for amazing pen holders, so I really don't need anything more. In general though, I also need to remind myself that I don't really need a lot of specialized stationery. This is something that I always buy for my ideal self, but I had to learn that I do not use all that fancy office stationery. What I use is very minimal, so I stick to that instead of keep on buying stuff that I don't need. So no more stationery for me in 2022. And next we have a cool tech gadget. I am not a techie. I really hate spending money on technology, so I really try to keep my technology minimal and to make it last as much as possible. And to be honest, a lot of the technology I use is either borrowed or is a hand-me-down, and I want to keep it that way. So no new cool tech for me. And the next thing is phone cases. Personally, I could not care less what my phone look like. I want to change the look of myself, not the look of my phone. And the result is that my phone case has been this for the past 3 or 4 years since I had my newest phone, that is this one. And I am no way interested in changing it. I'm going to keep it until either the phone case or the phone will break. Which, please, don't do that. The next one is the kitchen, and the first thing I will not buy in 2022 is special dishware and tableware. Now, I do actually need dishware and tableware. It is an actual need, and I do want to have something that is not only functional but also pretty. What I do want to avoid though is having something that is so obviously for a specific occasion that would look very weird on every day. So for example, I absolutely fell in love with Christmas dishware. I absolutely loved it, but that's so obviously Christmas that I cannot really use it on a daily basis without looking ridiculous. So I do want something that I can use on a daily basis. Next one is a coffee travel mug. I already talked about this before, but I do drink my coffee at home or at the bar. Either way, I am using a regular ceramic mug and I don't need a travel mug. The next thing is kitchen paper towel. This is something that I do not need. I simply use tea towels or sponges. I'm also not using disposable paper napkins anymore or disposable paper tissues. I do have cotton ones. Next one is fashion. I do not have a lot in here because I think I can make an entire video of fashion items I do not buy anymore as a fashion addict, so let me know if you're interested in that. But here are a few very big categories that I stopped buying. The number one is fast fashion. This should come with no surprise, but I am in the lucky position of being able to choose not to buy fast fashion, so I don't buy it. And I will admit though, I still buy it second-hand, but that's just because one, it's a more sustainable thing to do, and if you want to buy second-hand and you want to avoid fast fashion, it will become very difficult to find items to wear. The second thing I will not buy is sunglasses. Now, sunglasses for me is interesting because it has been one of my absolute favorite fashion accessory even before I was interested in fashion. And I used to have a lot of those very cheap, flimsy sunglasses, and I love them until I realized, one, they're not the most sustainable or the most ethical of items, but also they're not very good for your health. Sorry, mosquito. And at a certain point, my lenses became really too big to be able to fit in those flimsy sunglasses. So I decided a long time ago that I wanted to invest in a very good pair of sunglasses and keep them for the longest time. And so I did. It was one of my first minimalist decisions, even before being a minimalist, and I'm very proud of it. And the last thing is bags. Now, I will be honest, part of me says that just so that I can be held accountable for it, but if you know me, you know that I love bags, and especially designer bags, and you know that this has always been my kind of play area in which I allow myself to be a little bit more fashionable and a little bit less minimalist. But at this point, I have a bag for every single occasion. I really do not need bags anymore, and there are other aspects of my wardrobe that requires a little bit more of an investment. So yes, I don't want to buy any bag for 2022. Let's see if I stick to it. Then we have travel, and here we only have 2 items, and the first one is souvenir, and with that I mean especially those very cheap and mass manufactured souvenir. And First of all, I can guarantee you they are not made sustainably or ethically, but also I'm from Venice and I really seen what that type of industry can do to a city and especially to the local businesses. So I really do not want to partake in that anymore, and I would really plead you to do the same. And the next thing is packing cubes. This is again something that I always tempted by, because I always think that in this way my bag will be super organized, and that is true, but it's also true that I can actually fit way more in my bag if I don't have a packing cube than with a packing cube. So no real point. And when it comes to like separating items that you don't want to touch each other, like if you have dirty laundry or if you have underwear, then I can just use dust bags. And finally, we have the Miscellanea, or actually it can also be called entertainment, because almost everything is entertainment. And the first thing I will not buy is board games. Now this might sound random, but for this year, one of our couple resolutions was to watch less TV and start spending more time doing activities together. But because of all the situation that is going on, we don't really know if we'll be able to do a lot of stuff outside of the house. We thought that maybe buying a couple of board games could have been a good idea. And we realized that we are not really board games types. I do love a lot cards though. So for this Christmas, I asked my family to give me 2 different decks of cards. And we've been using them since Christmas. And the great thing of cards is that they are very small. You can very easily travel with them, and you can make so many games from 1 to really many people. So it's super versatile as a game, and I really enjoy it. So I don't need boarding games, at least for 2022. The next thing is CDs and movies. Like many other minimalist YouTubers here, I discovered the streaming services and I discovered how handy and cost-effective they are. So I have been sticking to Spotify and Netflix, and that's it. I don't buy any physical CD or DVD or movie anymore, especially because those, like, especially for the movie, they change so fast. Like we had VHS and then we have DVD and now they have Blu-ray, and every single time all your fantastic precious collection of movies, it's basically worthless because they don't make the device to see it anymore. So that's very frustrating. So at this point I'd rather curate a digital library that I hopefully can use for way longer. With that said though, we are also being careful with the streaming services. Again, because we saw how fantastic they were, we really considered buying something else, especially in the movie department. And then we had the possibility of trying out Amazon Prime, and we realized that we don't use it. We always use Netflix. So that really signified us that we don't have to buy any other streaming service. At least for 2022, we can keep on using Netflix, YouTube, and Spotify, and that's all we need. I am also not buying physical books anymore, and this is something that really surprises me, because I absolutely love books, but I've honestly not bought a book in the past 3 years. And the reason is that I use my Kindle a ton, and I know that I always receive books for Christmas and for my birthday. So normally I started asking books for those occasions, and in this way I have less physical books, but all the books that I have are books that I really want in my collection. Okay, yes, we are at the last items, and that is subscription boxes. And with this, I really mean those boxes in which you receive a random selection of random products based either on a questionnaire or on who knows what. And I personally don't like them, just because I am trying to minimizing what I possess. So having a box of random stuff arriving at my door is the total opposite of that. But in general, I don't really think it's a good idea for anyone, because the fact is that the majority of time you will receive stuff that you don't care for, you don't like, or you don't need, or you didn't even know it existed before you received the box. So I don't really think it's a smart use of money. I know that it looks like, because the value seems very good, but if you receive items that you didn't really care for in the first place, it's still a waste of money in my personal opinion. With that said though, I do make an exception for the food boxes, because they are a lifesaver for a lot of people, and I do not want to undermine that. So those I do understand, even if I don't personally use them, but I totally understand them. And that was it for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know the drill. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and see you soon. Bye! And just to reiterate how much I don't really use a coffee travel mug, I wrote it twice in my list.